Hello everyone, on this HCW podcast we will be covering Smackdown, Raw and last night's Dynamite. Roll intro.
HCW Reviews.
Hello everyone and welcome to the HCW Podcast. My name is RGX, joined by Frozzy. How you doing, buddy?
Yeah, all good, mate. Just getting ready and packed up for a long trip down to London to watch the football this weekend, and then doing all right. Apart from that, just glad to have a couple of days off.
Yeah, you're going to see the best team in London, aren't you?
Yeah, Spurs. Yeah. No, I'm only joking. No, I can't imagine if I say that while I'm at the game, I'll be in the Arsenal end. So yeah, I'd never mean that. My mate would kill me as well. So.
It's an obvious trap with the guy with the Arsenal badge on his wall for everybody for the last few months. No, that's good. I've just found out I'm going down to Bristol with my work at the end of the month, so the end of next month anyway, which should be alright.
I've been to Bristol to watch football, funnily enough, but I've never liked what I saw, so I hope you get a better impression of it than I did.
They'll be right bang in the city centre, so
yeah.
Should be decent.
Yeah,
anyway,
good stuff.
So we'll get rolling right into this Smackdown review then. So this is the Smackdown for the 23rd of September. In typical fashion, Bloodline are out first to open the show. So poor Sammy and Solo still aren't part of the AR graphics, so that horrible AR point thing, they're not in it, it's just the Usos and Roman. A lot of chat do the usual acknowledge me, and right away they say how thankful they are to have Paul Heyman back, and they pretend that that's the end of it. But Sammy is like, whoa, hold on a minute, I also want to acknowledge the tribal chief, and the look Jay gives him. I hope you find someone that loves you as much as Jay hates Sammy. Like, it is a look of pure disdain. And Roman starts bamming him up like, what do you actually contribute to this group? What are you trying to get out of this? And poor Sammy looks like a lost puppy. Like, absolutely devastated. Do you think he's going to get turned on? He says to him, look, what are you doing in that shirt? You shouldn't be wearing a Bloodline shirt. Take it off. And he's like, no, I don't want to take it off. And then Jay comes and absolutely rips it right off him.
Yeah.
Like, and he looks heartbroken until Roman's like, yeah, don't wear that shirt again because we've got you one of your own. And it's an honorary Us t-shirt, and he's like the happiest man in NATO.
Yeah. So good.
Yeah. And I love the fact that Roman genuinely likes Sammy.
Yeah. Like when he hugged him and it looked like he didn't know what to do, and then he hugged him back, and I was just like, this is great.
Mm-hmm. It actually makes me hope that Sammy's the one to take the title off him eventually.
Yeah. Especially,
we'll talk about it later, but you remember this week that he is actually a world-class wrestler as well.
Yeah.
He's not just a comedy character. But yeah, that's your opening segment. So that rolls right into Liv Morgan against Lacey Evans, who gets no entrance. So obviously we know who's winning here.
Yep.
Lacey also has this weird bit of camo on her forehead now that makes it look like she's got a bruise. But Lacey actually takes 95% of the offense and goes to pull out a kendo stick, and it's actually a broom she pulls out. Like, she can't tell a kendo stick from a broom handle, apparently. But when she rolls back in with a kendo stick, literally gets caught right away with a code breaker into Oblivion, so Liv's only moves in the whole match were a code breaker or Oblivion, and that gets to 3. Yep. She then goes to attack Lacey with the kendo stick, decides she's not going to do it, but then all of a sudden the baby face decides to go hell for leather on Lacey with a kendo stick, just purely to show that she can be extreme too. But why have a face to this to a random heel. Like, yeah, it's weird booking. Like, they seem to be doing some weird stuff while Liv just now. I don't.
Yeah, well, like you said, it's the 2 moves and she's won after being battered for the entire match. And it's just like, I get it that it makes a move look good. Fair enough. I get that. But she's your champion. Don't have her getting battered for 95% of the match.
Yeah, and barely win. And yeah, she did the bit after to look extreme, but it's still not how you make the champion look credible enough to be a credible defence against Ronda Rousey.
Yeah.
After that, we get Hit Row in the back with a little bit of the bubbly, calling next on the tag champs. Then the Profit show up, then Shinsuke, and it just turns into a little bit of a party. Then get Riddick and Ricochet in the back, calling Sammy out for being not obnoxious, at least more obnoxious than usual. But Sammy just says, like, I've got something that's got my back now, and they go, nobody's got your back. As Solo comes in out of nowhere and wrecks the both of them. But he's not the only one beating up on Ricochet, because someone gets a third hit in, thrown against the wall. But it seems to be a ghost. Because literally Solo grabs him like that and bashes his head against the grating twice. But then he randomly throws himself back against it a third time. I shared the gif on Twitter, but yeah, there's a ghost attacking him as well, apparently.
Casper.
But Solo looks an absolute badass, and I thoroughly approve.
Yeah.
We then get a reminder that the Usos are at 432 days on their reign and have 51 days to go. So if they're defending the titles at Extreme Rules, obvious top lock.
Yep.
We then get the New Day against Maximum Male Models. Xavier and Kofi are in Power Rangers gear again. Xavier in the Green Ranger gear and Kofi in the White Ranger gear. If you're into your Power Rangers lore, which I was as a kid.
Yeah, same.
Standard fare though, until Maxine Dupree grabs a camera from a ringside photographer and looks like she's never held a camera before in her life. Takes some really awkward angle photos, and the finish comes when she tries to get them to pose for a photo in the middle of the match, and Xavier catches Massey with the backwards, and Max Dupree storms off after reading him the riot act for posing in the middle of a match, which I hope is another hint at LA Knight returning.
Yeah.
We then get Braun versus Otis, and this is where I remember that WWE's editing team is incredible, because Otis looked a threat before going into the match, but it's Otis.
Yeah.
The ring's being reinforced for this one. As Cole, as Otis is coming in, says he looks like a piece of heavy machinery, which is a nice callback to the past. And again, it reminds me that everything is canon again, even to the point that Cole's talking about Otis being trained at New Revolution Wrestling and talking about his amateur credentials, which has never been brought up before, but should have been.
Yeah.
Smackdown especially, the commentary is just infinitely better than it used to be. I think that's the biggest improvement for me.
Yeah.
Is the commentary is bearable now.
Commentary all round, commentary all round on every show.
Apart from Jimmy Smith. But we'll get to
yeah, but he's Jimmy Smith, isn't he? So.
But yeah, really even match, which if that had happened 6 months ago, it would have said it made Braun look weak, but because they've done a good job of reminding you that Otis is actually a unit, it doesn't make him look bad at all. In fact, both of them look quite impressive. It's much better than Sanga and Von Wagner was in NXT anyway. there was a very close 3 from a World's Strongest Slam into the Vader Bomb, but a missed splash opened up, brought in power bombing Otis for the win. It was a good match. I was very pleasantly surprised.
Yeah, when you see it on paper, you think, yeah. And then you watch it and you're like, oh, okay.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. I expect to, like, when I see Strowman, and I know he's only just come back, but I always get, like, Omos vibes from him. I just don't expect anything.
He was never that bad, other than when he was first in the Wyatt family.
Oh, yeah, because he was just ridiculously green then. He'd just, like, kill people.
Yeah, with his trousers that made it look like he peed himself.
Yeah.
So, after that we get the Brawling Brutes backstage with Kayla. And we're getting Sheamus Gunther 2 in a week on Friday. So next week's Smackdown, which yes feckin' please, because there's banger after banger after banger after banger after banger. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to the rematch.
Yeah, same. It's a shame it's going to be on TV and it's probably going to be interrupted by an advert, but I still want to see it.
So Drew McIntyre is out with a strap in his hand for reasons. Now, apparently, he had been extremely unwell with food poisoning and even been in an IV drip before SmackDown. So we'll give him benefit of the doubt here because he wasn't at his best, but he wouldn't have been able to tell he was deathly ill. No. But he's just asking for his back to be ripped up again. Because it seems to be Drew's thing and having his back battered. Carrion comes out to respond to him. With Scarlett coming out first of all at the ramp, with Carrion trying to get the drop on him, but Drew catches him. We then get a weird torch paper fireball spot, but Scarlett completely misses him. But rightly, they pretty much no-sold it. So, and they apparently improvised the being taken to Dick Kick City and the beatdown after that.
Yeah.
But it's going to be a strap match between them at Extreme Rules.
Yeah.
And then get Dakota Kai versus Raquel Rodriguez, a rematch of their time in NXT. Rodriguez is like absolutely throwing Dakota around the place, but eventually Team Kick takes its toll and gets some good offense in. But Raquel gets the roll-up win after Shotzi comes out to cause the distraction, and they thwart a post-match beatdown. The Hit Row Party backstage is continuing. There's some more people backstage, pretty much the Job Squad, until my notes here, I've got 2 random people come in and super kick Top Dollar. It wasn't until after I worked out that it was actually Los Lotharios, but there's no way you could have told, and they never said who it was.
Yeah.
But they make their escape, and yeah, we're probably getting Hit Row against Los Lotharios in SmackDown tomorrow. And then we get our main event of the Brawling Brutes against the Usos in the main event for the tag titles. Sammy dancing around to the Usos music never gets old.
No, it never will.
We get some good joint manipulation from Butch to start off with. A really awkward bump in the corner as he seems to hit like every rope on the way down out to the outside.
Yeah.
Like, God knows how he managed to hit every rope, but I'm sure he did. But it's a really good back and forth match. Jay's too busy shouting at Sammy for pretty much just being there, allowing Butch to get the hot tag into Ridge, who sets up to use the Bullhammer elbow. I didn't know he was using that. Wade Barrett's old finish. But Imperium come out to take out Sheamus, and that's a big enough distraction for the Usos to hit the 1D, and the Usos win. If you've been following the White Rabbit, the QR code on last week's Raw had 9:23. So that turned out that was just when the next QR code was being released. So the one from SmackDown, I'll keep this nice and short. We'll cover each bit after each show. As my dog continues to bark in the background as well. Apologies for that. But the White Rabbit is a QR code on SmackDown. It's in the background of one of the promos. It takes you out to a little mini game, which, if you beat the mini game, has coordinates on it, which was just the coordinates for Raw. But it has patricide on it as well, which is relating to the Sister Abigail story. So that's where we're up to as of the end of SmackDown. If you want to,
you're gonna have to be Mr. White Rabbit guy, because I am not following it.
I've been following the White Rabbit, and I've been doing it myself. Yeah. I've not been going on Twitter to find out what the answers are, because nice. I love an ARG. But yeah, that was your SmackDown. So if you want to take it away with Raw.
Of course I can. So this week's Raw was actually, I enjoyed it. There's a bit right at the start that I didn't really get, but yeah, we'll get to it. So we start off the show, which is coming from Canada on the 26th of September, and we're not that far away from Extreme Rules now. So yeah, we're getting into the good stuff. So we start off with Bianca Belair, Alexa Bliss, and Asuka out for just a chat and basically a slating session of Bayley. Bayley then comes out and tries to defend herself, and then said she's going to take over WWE, and that means getting the title back. So they have a bit of a back and forth. Bayley then said she's going to take the title in a ladder match at Extreme Rules, and I think that's what we all want. I don't want to speak for you, but I feel like you want that as well.
Yeah, it's time for her to drop the title. Plus, she's getting close to the year mark. I don't know whether they'll have her go right through to the year and have Bayley win a rematch, but I'm ready to see Bayley have gold again.
Yeah, same. But yeah, then that leads us into obviously us needing a match. So Bianca Belair versus Io Sky is going to be the first match on the show. Bianca knocks us to the outside, and then we go to an ad. It's like, great, just what we needed.
Immediately.
Yeah, and it was just, and then they came back and didn't even go straight to the match. They went to Sami Zayn and Solo Sikoa arriving, and then they went back to the match. So they literally didn't have to start the match when they did. They could have gone to an ad break, come back to Solo and Sami, and then started the match. But, you know, it is what it is. But no, it took a while to get going, but once it got going, it was really, really good.
Yeah.
And they were given so much time. But yeah, the Belair gets the handspring moonsault, gets a 2 count. And then she gets Io Sky out of the air, and it just puts her into a fall-away slam, which I thought looked really impressive. And then, yeah, we get to the ending of the match where Damage Control are just there, causing a bit of a strife, and then Sky comes back into the ring and gets hit with a KOD, and that is the end of the match. Like I said, it took a while to get going, but there was a lot of action and a lot of stuff happened over this nearly 18-minute match, which will be a theme over the first 3 matches, I think. I believe a lot of them went quite long.
I think pretty much every, other than the Omos squash, which we'll cover, every match went over 10 minutes.
Yeah, which was great. But yeah, I enjoyed the match. I wouldn't mind seeing them go again. Because Io Sky I didn't watch much NXT when she was Io Shirai. I only used to watch the pay-per-views. So I knew she was good, but I'm more and more impressed by her every time I watch her.
Yeah, she's great.
So yeah, there's good things coming for her. Whenever Damage Control runs its course, she's definitely one to push. And then we go to Rey Mysterio talking about what it means to be a dad, apparently, but he's focused on Seth Rollins. And then we cut to Miz, who talks to his security force. So he has a security force now, does the Miz.
The Miz force.
Yes, promises them a variety of things and then calls them the Miz Force. I mean, what more do you want? And he just sends them off to find Dexter Lumis. You'll see that I'm getting very tired of this when we get to it. But yeah, we come back and we're having Rey Mysterio against Seth Rollins. But first, Rollins is going to take a mic and talk crap about Matt Riddle because that's what he does. And that he's going to beat him in the fight pit because it might not be his type of match, but he's Seth freaking Rollins and he'll do whatever he needs to do to win. And now he's just going to beat up Rey Mysterio and give him the beating that Dominic deserves, but Rey won't give him. So Rey Mysterio obviously then comes out, runs straight into the ring and just drop kicks him straight away before the bell's even gone. And then we go to a break, which is a theme. It's really annoying, but it's a theme. And then we come back and Rollins is being busted off sorry, I've just completely lost myself in my notes there. He goes for a Tilt World backbreaker. Rollins misses a charge into the corner and a drop toe sends him into the turnbuckle. We get quite a good back and forth. And like we said, these matches are going long. And then Dominic Mysterio just appears with a chair. And Rollins is quite happy about this. And then we go to another break. We come back and Rollins is kicking Rey Mysterio in the head as Dominic watches from ringside. Rey manages to hit a DDT, gets a bit of a breather in, and then gets counted into a buckle bomb. So Rollins buckle bombs him on the second attempt because he reversed the first one. Sets up a Michinoku driver for the 2. Gets a Hurricane Rana and sends Zeth to the floor, and then Rey is hitting a sliding splash to the outside. Rey takes him back into the ring. 619's broken up, leaving Rey to settle for a top rope Hurricane Rana. Then the 619 connects, sends Rollins to the outside. With Rollins down, Dominic loads up a chair, tells Rey to hit him with it. The distraction lets Rhea Ripley back into the ring for a chair shot of her own. And then Zeth comes in, stomps him, and chokes up to finish Rey at 17 minutes and 10. So yeah, themes of 17-minute matches. Really good match though.
Yeah, I really liked it, and especially liked the submission finish, because that's pretty much the only way you win in Fight Pit is knockout or submission. Yeah. So it showed that he had a submission in his arsenal.
Yeah, I remember they had to do it with John Cena, didn't he, once? That's when he first got the STF. Just to show that he could do it.
Show that he could do it was a strong word.
Yeah, well, to show that he had a submission that he could use was probably a better terminology for that. But yeah, great match. I really enjoyed it. So, yeah. Then we go to Lashley and Riddle. Lashley wishing Riddle good luck in his match against Priest, but he tells him don't ever interrupt one of his matches again. And as for the fight pit, to knock Rollins' teeth out. So yeah, that was fun. Lashley's a nice guy. I like Lashley, and he's still. And it bothers me to this day that guy is 46 years old. It's like, I want to look that good at 46. I don't even look that good at 33. So, I mean, it's ridiculous. But yeah, we go to then a random team, because I think everyone in the world wants to see Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens, but we're getting Gargano and Owens versus the Alpha Academy. Again, really, really good match. Like, show everyone gets the stuff in. Gable is incredible. I love Chad Gable. And they don't do the promo, which I missed a bit of the shoosh, but it is what it is. But yeah, they all look good. They all get the stuff in. And another match that goes over 10 minutes. We get Theory coming down to offer a distraction. Gable hits Dominator DDT for 2. And then Gargano super kicks Theory, hits the one final beat, and finishes Gable just before 13 minutes. It was really, like, I don't know why I found it so unexpected. When Gargano hit the one final beat, I was like, that was quick, and it looked very crisp. And yeah, the match just ended, but I enjoyed it.
Yeah, it was a very good match. With the people involved, we always knew it was going to be good. My only worry is that Chad Gable is kind of settling into the Dolph Ziggler role of having really long, really competitive matches and losing.
Yeah. So I mean, I'm just glad they're using him, and hopefully it turns around where he's not that guy, and he does start getting a bit of stuff going. So we can, why not have him go for a mid-card title? Why not?
Yeah. Right. I think when they eventually do the draft, and Gunther's been freed up from the IC title in order to go for Universal, that he'd be a great shout for Intercontinental Champion, or at least a decent long feud over it.
Yeah, I mean, even US title, Intercontinental title, whichever one they want to give him, but the man can work, and at the minute they're letting good wrestlers wrestle,
and he's comedy gold as well.
Yeah, I mean, you don't I never associated Chad Gable with that until the last few months. But he's got character about him as well. I just thought he was just a really
even
good
back in
wrestler.
NXT. Before he started teaming with Jason Jordan, and he was doing the recruiting for a tag partner. He was hilarious back then. He was just naturally funny. Yeah.
Well, we're finally getting to see that personality on a flagship show, which is great. But yeah, we cut to AJ Styles talking about why he turned down Judgment Day, and then Finn Balor comes in, hypes him up a bit more, and just tells AJ to keep thinking about it. And then we cut to Chad Gable defending Otis's loss to Austin Theory, who thought he could take out Gargano. Then Theory gets a phone call from Braun Strowman, who says he wants to face Gable next week. So we're going to get that next week. Cut to Omos versus Greg Lester and Joe Gibson.
Oh, you caught the names.
Yeah, got the names.
I didn't care enough to catch them.
I feel like even if you're getting absolutely smashed to bits, you deserve a bit of credit. MVP's on commentary for what it's worth because the match goes less than 2 minutes. And yeah, it's Omos smash. Done. Double pin. See you later. MVP talks a little bit about Braun Strowman during the match, so there might be something going on there. We're going to get Omos and Strowman, aren't we?
Yeah, I feel like they're only still on TV for MVP's benefits. So you're doing something with MVP as opposed to doing something with Otis.
Yeah. And then it would be remiss of me not to say that Omos stacked them up on the announcer's table and does his little pose.
Yeah, though he did forget to do the double pin. He only pinned one of them. He forgot to stack them in the ring to do the pin in the ring. That's why they did that in the announce table.
Right. Fair play. I thought he double pinned them for some reason. I've got the double pin wrote down on my notes.
No, it was the double stack on it. It was the double stack on the table to make up for the fact he forgot to double pin.
Fair. Right. That makes sense. Because I did wonder why he'd done it twice. I was like, oh, a bit weird, but we move. And then we find Miz finding his security force, the old Miz force, all knocked out. And Dexter Lumis dressed as a hockey statue because Dexter Lumis.
He was there for the beginning. You could see his face.
Yeah, but it's just weird, isn't it? I think I tune out a little bit because I'm just getting bored of it. But yeah, Lumis knocks him out and cradles his head, and it's just like, okay. And then we get, which I found weird, Nikki Ash versus Candice LeRae. Like, why? Why? Like, she's returning. Make it good. Don't just oh, by the way, here's Candice LeRae.
Yeah, it was literally, oh, hey, Candice LeRae's here. Cool.
Yeah. It was just like, why has this not been built up? Because people know who she is. It's not like she's completely unknown and they're trying to build her. People know who Candice LeRae is. And Johnny Gargano's just come back. It's just like, yeah, I don't know. It just bothered me. But yeah, she gets into the ring, knocks to the floor, baseball slides caught. Ash starts pounding away on her. And then back in, Candice sets up for the backstabber. Nikki Ash catches her, but she catches her with Miss LeRae's Wild Ride, which is a middle rope swinging neck breaker, basically, and pins her in 1 minute 40. You're going to be upset about this.
No, I'm not, and I'll tell you why. Because as Nikki is sitting there dejected, she takes the mask off. So, with her taking the mask off, I'm hoping that's her back to being serious. And if it all depends on who wins the title at Halloween Havoc. If Alba Fire wins the title, then my dream doesn't happen. But if she loses, there's still a chance of the 3 Scottish lassies kicking ass from like Survivor Series onwards. Hopefully.
Well, yeah. So I mean, I just feel a bit sorry for Nikki Ash, but yeah, it is what it is. If it leads to something, fair play. Then we get a video on Logan Paul versus Roman Reigns, the match that no one knew they wanted to see.
But I'm okay. I'm here for it in a weird way.
Yeah, I mean, when I first saw it was announced, I was like, it's a bit random. Like 3 matches in, and he's getting Reigns. But you need something, I suppose.
And remember, Saudi isn't necessarily canon.
No, so I mean, I think Logan Paul will still look good. Because I think with Reigns you get slower paced matches and stuff like that. So when Logan Paul explodes and gets his run, it'll look good, and then Reigns will just slow him straight back down. And he does seem to sell quite well, Logan Paul. I will give him that. So yeah, it shouldn't be too bad. And then we get Damian Priest, who isn't worried about Matt Riddle because he's got his family with him. Just segment because. And then we go straight into AJ Styles against Sami Zayn. Now, like, this is great.
Yes,
I love both of them. Yes, this is like, and like you said, where in your SmackDown review that Sami Zayn had proved on Raw why, like, he's not just a good comedy actor, he's a frigging great wrestler. Just go and watch this match because this match is so good.
I put it right up there with his match with Johnny Knoxville at WrestleMania. It's not quite there, but it's almost.
No, but it's there. I mean, and we've even get the added bonus of Solo Sikoa at ringside.
Yeah, but again, Luke's an absolute unit.
Yeah, I was going to say the man is just ridiculous, and they're making him look good at every time. But this is a great back and forth match, exactly what you'd want to see from AJ Styles and Sami Zayn. And yeah, it goes 20 minutes. Sikoa's obviously involved in the finish. So he hits the rock bottom on the apron and then throws him back in the ring. You get a haluva kick and Sami wins. 20 minutes this match went. And I wasn't bored by 1 single second of it.
Same. And I always love seeing the haluva kick get the win.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's nice to see Sami Zayn doing this. And he's not just on one show. We're getting the joys of him at least twice a week.
Yep. Right.
I love it.
And my big thing with finishers is I'm a sucker for a finish where they ask, what's your finish, kid? I hit them really hard. I kick them really hard in the head.
Yeah.
Like, nobody should ever be kicking out of that kind of finisher. So I'm glad that he's getting the wins with the haluva kick again.
Yeah. And then we get the post-match stuff with the Judgment Day, who offer Styles a spot on the team again. Styles flips him off and then just gets beaten down. And then Finn Balor looks like he's about to Pillmanize him, but he cuts himself off and says that's not what friends do. So you can see what he's trying to achieve. He's like, I could have done it, not going to, join us.
This is what happened. I loved the narrative throughout the match. I wanted to wait until he covered the post-match stuff. I love the narrative throughout the match of this is what Sami's achieving now that he's got backup.
Yeah.
AJ's not got any backup.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, they've spun it really well. The whole Sami Zayn thing is really good. They're doing good things with the Judgment Day as well. Because I think it was it you who said it? They'd be gone soon. They were Retribution 2.0.
I have never been happier to be wrong.
I know, yeah. It's so good that you've been wrong. So it's like you don't mind taking criticism for being wrong on that.
Oh, not at all.
No. So we get Candice LeRae then. Doesn't think much of damage control, but her and Bayley can fight later. Cool. Then we go to Matt Riddle and Damian Priest in our main event. So obviously the rest of Judgment Day's there. So this, again, not a bad match at all. I really enjoyed it again. And that is the theme of Raw. Like, there was 8 matches on this show and it did not feel like 8 matches. And I know there was 2 really short ones, but it's still an 8-match card. And I wasn't bored by the matches. The wrestling's so good lately on Raw. But obviously, Finn Balor is getting himself involved here and there. And we come back into the ring and Riddle is on top. Then Priest comes back, drops him hard, and we take a break. We come back with Riddle hitting a suplex for a 2, and both men are down, and then slug out from there as they go to the knees. And then Riddle hits a Bro Derek for a 2. And then Ripley distracts Riddle, lets Priest hit the downward spiral for a 2. Riddle flips out of a choke slam, but the RKO is then blocked, and then it's a jumping knee to the face, which draws Balor up for a distraction again. Another choke slam is loaded up, but Riddle reverses into a cradle for a pin at nearly 19 minutes. So, I mean, it's good that Riddle's getting a win. Priest's getting up to the main event as well, and they both look great in the main event of Raw.
Yeah. They're almost overcoming the lack of star power now, just by going have some great wrestling.
Yeah, no, exactly. And then, like I said, you're getting these people who don't necessarily get the main events on Raws or anything like that. Like Damian Priest getting main events on Raw is good. They built him well, even though he didn't win. He's only lost by a cradle. I mean, it's not a career-defining loss, is it? And it gives Riddle a bit of momentum going into the match with Zeth.
Yeah. So
we get the. Is there something you want to say before I go into the post-match?
No, go to the post-match and then I'll cover it.
Yep. So the post-match beatdown is on, and here comes Edge. So Edge comes in. He the usual spot, and it always makes me laugh. And whoever has a spear in their arsenal, if there's more than 2 people in the ring, the first person will go to clothesline him, he'll duck, and he'll take out someone else with the spear. And it's the classic move, and it always happens, and it always makes me laugh. Totally get why it happens, but yeah, it's just like you see it all the time with anyone who does a spear. Clears the ring out, and he says he's tired of the Judgment Day, and that's why at Extreme Rules, Edge wants Finn Balor in an I Quit match because he doesn't quit. And it looks like that's the match we're going to get. Balor against Edge at Extreme Rules, which I believe, if reports are to be believed, might be the main event.
I'm here for it.
Yeah. Same.
So
there was finishes, by the way, just before you say what you're going to do. There was clean finishes, what you class as clean finishes. No DQs on this show.
Yeah.
I love it.
Obviously, a lot of distraction pretty much in every match.
Yeah.
But I always had a clear winner at the end of it.
Yeah.
So, following the White Rabbit, this time the QR code was on the announce desk the full time. So, this takes you to basically a recording of a TikTok on the WWE site.
Who killed You did. You did. Feed your head. Feed your head.
I talk about White Rabbit Records and giving coordinates. Now, the coordinates this time all led to the kind of pink rabbit on the hillside in Italy. So that was a kind of red herring almost. But the key clue from this was the White Rabbit Records. When you search that in YouTube, it comes up with a YouTube channel. And on that channel is got a zip code like 04070 if I remember right, and that is for Windham, Maine.
Right.
So, obviously, there is another Bray Wyatt reference.
Oh, it's going to be wild if it's not Bray Wyatt.
Yeah, but see, the thing is, I'm getting to the point now, even if it's not until WrestleMania happens, if I get a QR code to follow every week, I'm happy.
If that happens, I'm going to end up following it.
Right, I do keep meaning to put together a guide on it. I'll wait until a few more happen if there's going to be more, and then any week we've got a quiet week, I'll put up how it all worked together. But,
yeah, sounds like a plan. But yeah, so if you want to take us into AEW Dynamite.
Indeed, do. So we open up similar to SmackDown, opening up with a Bloodline. We get Dynamite opening up with the Jericho Appreciation Society, who have brought a Luigi Primo, and they come out in the most horrible purple velvet suits ever. Which, bear in mind, most of them are topless, so that velvet is directly on their skin. Which, I'm not so bad with velvet, but my wife really hates it. It's like almost like one of those kind of touch phobias. So just the idea of that, I could already feel her skin crawl, never mind mine.
Yeah.
But Luigi Primo gets to speak this time as Matt Menard asks him what kind of pizza he's making. And to get the heel heat, he's making a New York pesto pizza. So no Philly deep dish for the Philly crowd. So they boo him because he's talking about New York. And still the biggest heel in the company. They then talk about Jericho being the greatest Ring of Honor champ in history. All this is basically to help build a future title unification match with Daniel Garcia, I think. As they kind of tease him turning in full. Jericho has bought him a bright purple bucket hat to go with the suit, but Garcia quite rightly hates it. It's horrible.
Yeah.
He says he's got something to get off his chest when Danielson's music hits. Danielson tells him that he doesn't need to do what Jericho tells him because he's his own man. Nobody owns him. Jericho says, "No, I do own him," which obviously gets another rise out of Garcia. Danielson tells him, "Look, do whatever you want to do. If you want to go back to Jericho Appreciation Society, that's fine. If you want to join the BCC and tag with me, that's fine." So there's an invite there, which I hope he accepts at some point. So that would be a fire tag team.
Yeah.
And that goes back and forth for a while until Danielson challenges Matt Menard to a match, and we get a referee out and we go straight into that. So Matt Menard gets a lot of offense in early on because you can see the cut marks from the physio treatment that Danielson was having on his back prior to the show. So there's a lot of back-based offense, which made me cringe because of my current situation with my back.
Yeah.
Cool Hand Luke is being a constant menace at ringside until Claudio absolutely sprints down, uppercuts him, and carries him over his shoulder like an unruly toddler having a fit. And literally just marches right to the back with him. We don't see them again that night. And Danielson gets the win shortly after. We're then going to hear from MJF after the break, and when we come back from commercial, Wheeler Yuta's music hits before MJF's and cuts an okay-ish promo about MJF hiding behind people, hiding behind the farm, even hiding behind the microphone, and tells him he wants a match with MJF tonight in his hometown of Philadelphia. This brings out MJF, who tells him he's not lowering himself to fighting in a cesspool, and says he'll be in the hospitality box to watch Mox against Juice Robinson instead. And at this point, obviously a lot of it will be down to Hurricane Ian. There might have been talent that were meant to be on the show that couldn't make it, which quite rightly Tony Khan says, like, if you're due to be on, just focus on getting safe. Don't worry about making TV. But everything kind of felt stretched. I don't know if you got that impression watching it.
Yeah, I mean, what I took away from it was, what sort of like, how did they come up with these names for these hurricanes? Because this is the least intimidating hurricane name I've ever come across in my life. Where did he come from?
At least in Scotland we get Hurricane Ballbag.
Yeah, I mean, Hurricane Ian. It just sounds like someone who's about to play snooker. You know, they do the snooker intros now with the, and here comes Hurricane Ian, whatever. And it's just, yeah.
Obviously, it's a very deadly storm. There's been a lot of damage and stuff.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, I've seen the pictures. I'm not dismissing the storm. It just doesn't sound very deadly when you say Hurricane Ian. But no, I hope everyone is safe.
Yeah, it's alright. Hopefully, when they get the next one, they don't call it something like Hurricane Archibald.
Yeah.
Or Hurricane Magnus.
Yeah, just call it something better.
So we then get straight into Mox against Juice Robinson. It is a good hard-hitting match until, oh wait, it's a Mox match. Here comes the blood. Devolves into typical Mox affair of finisher reversal, getting blood everywhere, biting and licking each other's blood, which is still grosses me out every time. And eventually it results in Mox reversing the. Well, it actually takes Juice's finish. It kicks out at a very close to. Juice kicks out of a Death Rider, but then catches his arm in a cross arm breaker for pretty much an insta tap. Because he was nowhere near the ropes, and it's one of those kind of finishes that should be insta tap. I hate something like a cross arm breaker being in it for minutes at a time, like a certain.
Yeah, you don't need it.
Like a certain Walls of Jericho or a Bulldog choke.
I completely forgot about that until you just brought it up.
I will never not mention that when it comes to mocks and submissions.
Yeah.
MJF is standing in his box, just reminding him that he's got the chip until they do the usual "he's behind me, isn't he" trope. And Yuta batters the absolute hell out of MJF to the point they're even falling out of the hospitality box, and security are trying to separate them. We then get Saraya. Now, this is before any of the rest of the promo. I put in brackets Sa-Re-Ya to make sure you knew how to pronounce it, because I was certain for years it was Saraya.
No, Saraya.
Yeah. So
she replied to someone on Twitter saying that she was going to box the commentary's head off if they got it wrong, which was quite funny. But yeah, she spelt it out exactly how you just did. It was like, this is how you pronounce it. So hopefully, the commentary didn't get it wrong.
No, they were very deliberate in saying Saraya.
Yeah.
She gets really rambly really quickly. She says she's damaged but not broken. She will create the change in AEW, and says she was the revolution here. No, she wasn't. That was WWE hint. And I'm quoted this verbatim. I'm going to be the revolution because I am the revolution. I am the revolution. Revolution. She admits she's really nervous.
She's just excited to be there, isn't she, and involved. And the way she is, because the likelihood is they wouldn't have brought her in if she wasn't going to wrestle. So she's probably nervous, excited, and everything all at once. So she's never been a bad promo. I can forgive her for one. So
she's only 90 seconds into her promo, but apparently she's getting time cues from the producers ringside. She decides she's going to ignore them, brings out the women's locker room. She calls for the full women's locker room, but only the faces come out first. We then get reintroduced to all the ladies, which turns out to just be Toni Storm, who says it's like the face of the division, is going on to great things. Then Britt Baker comes out with the heel locker room. Britt calls out the fact that half the people here didn't know how to pronounce her name. And Saraya's high Q response to that was, at least my name doesn't rhyme with shit. Wow. We've gone there already. Cool. So at that point, I put in my notes, how have AEW made me hate this return already? And I'm a huge mark for Saraya and Paige.
Yeah.
And I'm worried about it now.
Yeah, because, well, AEW is doing what AEW seems to do now. It's not been a good year.
So Britt says that she's been a conspiracy victim because she's been injured yet again. They talk for ages, but ultimately they don't say anything. So again, in my notes I've got, did the coach who helps with our promos backstage, did he fail to make it to TV because of the hurricane? Because it just felt like they were kind of trusted to go out there with their own bullet points and weren't kept on track by anyone.
Yeah.
But she says, pronoun game Saraya says that she spoke to Tony Khan in the back, who's a boss who actually listens to her for once. Ooh. And says it'll be a lumberjack match for the title now. Oh yeah, that's right. There's a women's world title match between Toni Storm and Serena Deeb. The two people in this whole segment you don't hear from.
Yeah.
So, absolutely feel terrible for them because you now hear crickets from the audience who have been burnt out from that segment that preceded the match. It was a really nice technical start to begin with, but it breaks it down once the lumberjacks come into play. The only problem is anyone told them how a lumberjack match is supposed to work, where someone goes outside, your job is to get them back in the ring immediately.
Yeah.
The first time someone goes outside, it is Tony. The heels beat down on her. There's no rush to get her in the ring. Second time someone goes outside, the only one that rushes over is Athena, who does her job and gets Serena back in the ring immediately. And then when Tony goes out again later, not a single lumberjack goes anywhere near her.
Yeah.
Like, someone should have told them what a lumberjack does in lumberjack matches, is all I'm saying. It really took away from the match itself that these two ladies could have.
There's a lot of stuff going on in this women's division that I do not like.
Yeah, it's like they're trying to sabotage.
Yeah.
See if they'd had just a straight up match between Serena Deeb and Toni Storm, wouldn't be saying any of this. Because where the lumberjacks don't play into the match, it's good. The only issue I have with the match itself is and Tony's use of the pile drivers at the end, which are supposedly Storm Zero, but the first one's just a straight up pile driver, and then an avalanche pile driver to pick up the three, which is really what you want. Saraya, who's on commentary after 5 years out with a neck injury, wants to see is women getting dropped on their head, which I don't think anyone should be getting dropped on their head in 2022. That's just me. I know it's not a popular opinion, but let's not cause each other concussions and neck injuries, please. In a moment of levity after all that, though, we get the Acclaimed backstage, who say they're going to have an open challenge on Rampage for anyone. Then Keith Lee comes up, mentions that Swerve can't make it because of the hurricane, but he's really not happy with Gunn's interference last week and tells him to watch his back before the cut to black. In case you missed it, Anthony Bowens posted a really powerful video on Twitter. He's talking about overcoming his confusion over his sexuality, dealing with being a person of colour, but he's proven that if you really focus on something, you can make your dream reality. It made me tear up. It was really well done. So I recommend you go and check that out if you haven't seen it.
No, I haven't. But yeah, I'll definitely go and check it out after this.
Now, I didn't watch Rampage last week, but apparently Butcher and Blade and Private Party were on TV for the first time in God knows how long. So I got a reminder that they exist. Andrade reminds them that he's in charge, which causes them to argue. He then walks off and leaves Alex Marvez to tell Private Party to sort themselves out, ship up or ship out. And then Matt Hardy comes back to offer to manage him again, saying that as bad a job as Big Money Matt did for their careers, it wasn't as bad as how they're being treated under Andrade, which is right, because I forgot Private Party were a thing.
I forgot Andrade was a thing as well.
So hopefully we get Matt managing them again, which will be nice. After that, we get Ricky Starks against Jobber Jerry, who gets no name or introduction until 30 seconds into the match. For the record, his name was Eli Elsom, but it's literally Spear, Rochambeau, moving on. It's literally gone from Powerhouse Hobbs getting the 30-second squash matches to Starks beating him. Now Starks is getting the 30-second squash matches. Like, pick who you're going to push one or both of them at the same time. Don't just, you're allowed to push both. Then Excalibur goes into full Excalibur mode with his rapid fire match announcements and segment announcements for Rampage and Dynamite, going through 9 matches and segments in 30 seconds. We then get a recap of the Jungle Boy and Christian feud. Pretty much more time stretching because this didn't cover anything new. And then, good God, Excalibur goes Excalibur again immediately after with 3 more segments that he forgot to mention before the recap. Like, stop. Either drip feed them through the show or dedicate enough time that you can actually talk about them instead of just, this is happening, this is happening, this is happening.
Yeah.
It's the most annoying thing about Dynamite for me out of everything.
Yeah, Excalibur, I agree.
We then get our main event for the Ring of Honor title. It's Jericho against Bandido. So we hear Judas in full again for the second time of the night, which strikes me as more time filling. We get a middle finger instead of the Code of Honor handshake. It's a very good match, but Bandido's allowed to shine. Obviously, he's a free agent just now and should have been signed up pretty much immediately. But hopefully he gets signed off the back of this because he was hella impressive. It was good to see the guys from HMS Richmond from the Royal Navy actually get a shout out on TV. So shout out to my fellow Navy brethren as a veteran myself. We then get the match continuing, a much slower pace this time, after a very, very long vertical suplex, which goes for more than a minute. And you can really see Jericho struggling to post after a while. Like, being in a vertical suplex is much more tiring for the person like being lifted than the one doing the lifting. Because if you understand the mechanics of wrestling, you have to physically post and basically do a handstand on someone's shoulders. So all that, you require a lot more strength to do that than the person actually just holding you up there. But towards the end, Bandido somehow manages to pull off his moonsault fallaway slam on Jericho for a very close 2, and then hit with the X-knee and 21 plex, which is his rapid snapping German suplex for an extremely close 2. But of course, Jericho being cheaty Jericho, we get the eye poked from him. A couple finisher reversals before he locks in the Lion Tamer, and because Bandido had his mask pulled down so that he couldn't see, had no idea where the ropes were, so he had no choice but to tap, which I really liked that detail. Because although he was close to the ropes, there's no way he could have told that he was close to the ropes.
Yeah.
But then we get Jericho's post-match promo, where he reminds us all that it's the Ring of Jericho, which is his butthole, and then says he's going to beat every former Ring of Honor champion except CM Punk, who's away, except Seth Rollins.
Yeah.
There's loads of them in WWE just that you can't get. I mean, there is still a decent number of Ring of Honor champions in AEW unsigned just now, but the amount of you can't say you're going to beat all of them when
if you can't.
most of them are signed to another company.
Yeah. So the thing for me with this match was, why was it happening?
Because Bandido didn't get his rematch because of
right. So I looked into this, right, and there's a few people in different servers who speculated, and it doesn't make any sense because he did. So this now makes no sense. He vacated it. He still claimed it. He had a match at Supercard.
That's right. He had the unification match with Gresham that Gresham won.
Yeah. So it makes no sense. It's like they've had Bandido on for the sake of having Bandido on.
Have they really gone that far in like making him Gresham persona non grata that they avoided that title win?
They must have done, because
which is another Ring of Honor champion that Jericho can't beat.
Yeah, it just makes no sense. It's because Jericho said what he said. Now it makes no sense because it's absolute crap.
So yeah,
I wanted to say that. I've been like, I knew I was going to say it before we even started, and I didn't mention this to you before we recorded because I thought I'll get his live reaction. I won't say nothing and see what he says.
I'd honestly forgotten how it happened.
Yeah,
I remember now that you've said, but I'd completely forgotten about it.
Yeah, it was just like I woke up this morning and obviously I'd seen the results and stuff like that, and I knew Jericho was fighting Bandido, and it was just something someone said, and I was like, I'm going to go and look into this. So that's what I did. Yeah. So yeah, it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. So Jericho says he's going to desecrate the legacy by beating up every former champion, beating up ring announcers, beating up commentary team, beating up referees, and beating up ring announcers. So he said that again as he then takes out their Ring of Honor ring announcer and says that he's going to be facing Danielson for the title Dynamite in Toronto, which our good friend from Near Falls, Sam, will be over for that show. So at least he's getting to see that, which is cool. And that is your Dynamite, not one of their best ones, and very much a filler episode, if you ask me.
No, I was going to say, with all the stuff with the women's stuff that I know you didn't like in particularly, and then I've just brought up the little bit of the Bandido stuff at the end, it really puts a downer on what
I wasn't down on the Bandido stuff until you actually reminded me.
I know, yeah, until I've absolutely put the downer on it. But yeah, not a bad week of wrestling. Like I said, I took notes and stuff for Raw, and I really enjoyed Raw. I know Rate says he struggles sometimes when he takes notes to enjoy a show, but I thought Raw for what it was, the long matches and stuff like that. Save for the squash matches and the lumberjack match, which was hampered by the stipulation, but was still a good match. The wrestling has been outstanding this week. Yes, totally agree. And if we can, we'll try and get Rate to post his ratings for each match of the shows we've just reviewed. Maybe to follow it up in tweets when we. Oh, he posts them on Twitter anyway, so I could always just whack screenshots of them. Yeah, just attach them. Yeah, no, that's fair enough. But yeah, it's been a good week of wrestling, and on that note, we are going to end the show right there. So as usual, do all the fun stuff. Follow us on Twitter at HCW Show. And follow us in our Discord, where we talk a lot of nonsense most days, but it's a good community we've got going in there at the minute. So yeah, feel free to add yourself in. The link will be in the video description below. Like, subscribe, follow all of our socials. So mine and RGX's will be on the screen. Any traction is good traction for us. If there's anything you want to see, anything you don't want to see, let us know in the comments. Anything you guys can contribute is a massive help for all of us. Yeah, on that note, it is bye from myself and a bye from RGX. Au revoir.